So Craig's built quite a number of successful businesses for more than 20 years, Craig, even though you got a really fresh young face.
Let's call it 20. Let's call it 20.
I think it's because of the wonderful skin serum that you've built. But just to give you a little bit of background on Craig, he really is a veteran. So he was the managing director of 42 Below, a vodka brand that was built out of the Australasian region and then went global. Was bought out by Bacardi for about $140 million. It sounds like you had enough of the alcohol industry, and then you moved into scented candles and skin serums and skincare. So Craig established the Acquoia brand, and then that brand morphed into a listed company in New Zealand called Trillium. And Craig built out a number of skincare brands into that listed company, and then that listed company was bought out by the Chinese City Group for about $200 million.
Correct.
And now Craig runs Boost Lab, and Profeta is really excited to be one of the first investors in the company. It's only 2 years old, but is seeing explosive growth. So Boost Lab's already over $5 million of sales in just 2 years. It's got national distribution. It's really exciting. And I guess my first question, Craig, is given your long history in the consumer space, can you talk to us a bit about your experiences and what you learned from running a vodka brand 42 Below and what you learned from running a listed company, Trillium?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gary. And thanks for the support. So try to pare it all back, and this sounds simple, but it's not in practice. I think it comes down to three things across all of these brands that I've been involved in. The first thing is product or service. It's not negotiable. You have to have a good product or service for your price point. So that's a non-negotiable. The second thing is your story and how that resonates with your target consumer, the consumer you're trying to add value to. And the third thing is being laser focused on that consumer in your marketing to try and be as efficient as you can. And I'll talk about a bit more of those in detail now. Talk about the story first. So there's a number of ways, I guess, a brand can be built, and you can have, a reason to play in that space, so to speak. So for 42 Below was a provenance play. So it was about a vodka that's clean and green, that's manufactured 42 degrees below the equator, where the air was pure, which inferred that the water was the best water, which makes a good vodka. So that's kind of the story we started with 42 Below. And then the execution on targeting the customer was, how can we get this in the best bars around the world to seed it and then build it from there. So our marketing activities were all around who's the best bartenders in Sydney, what are the best restaurants, what are the best bars. We need to get a bottle in these people's hands. And if we have to pay for it, we will, and we did. And then from there, you put into Dan Murphy's a year or two later, but it was about seeding it into those good bars. And that was a provenance story more than anything else. I was lucky enough to be exposed to the founder of 42 Below. His name was Jeff Ross, an outstanding marketer. He created a good vodka by chance. So that was a good success story. Then Bacardi bought that business out 3 years after we listed, actually. We listed in New Zealand Stock Exchange in 2003, and then in 2006, Bacardi acquired the business because they struggled to create a new brand, and they saw this as something they could put through their channels, and it's still around now and doing well. Acquoia was, so I guess there's a provenance story, and then there's either an ingredient or a technology kind of story for your brand. So the second business I got involved with was Acquoia, which is an ingredient-led business. It's about natural soy wax, which in the Australian marketplace not a lot of businesses had. It was popular in the US, but not in Australia. So our story was about provenance being clean and green Australia, and extension into natural soy wax. And then we created, again, a business selling to one store at a time. And Boost Lab is slightly different because it's more of a human-centered approach, which is the third approach I think you can do in establishing a brand. What I mean by that is that with Boost Lab, I've been in skincare for a long time. I was with Trilogy, which is rosehip oil, which was acquired by Acquoia at the time. So I knew skincare, I knew the cost to manufacture, I knew how to make a good skincare product. What was common across most skincare brands is that they're really complicated. So someone goes onto a site and they go, I've got a blemish, how can I solve this blemish? They put in the search panel and it comes up with, half a dozen products from cleansers to moisturizers to serums. It's like, I don't know what I want. So it's really complicated. And I've been in those businesses and knew that. So we took the human-centered approach with Boost Lab and said, okay, how can we design a range of products which are easy to understand at a good price point, which they're affordable, and then go after our targeted consumer, which is the 40 to 50-year-old woman who hasn't got time to do research on what hyaluronic acid is, what a niacinamide does, what an AHA is. They just want to know, look, I've got a wrinkle here. This is a wrinkle. This is a serum for a wrinkle, and so on and so forth. So that's the approach we took with Boost Lab. There's no right or wrong approach, but what's common across all those things is those three things. It's having a good product, having a story that resonates with your consumer, that you can tell over and over again, and then just getting laser focused on that consumer.
And you set up these big brands over a long period of time, but every time you start a new business, it's hard.
Right.
And I've observed that. I've observed the ups and downs of many businesses, whether they're listed or unlisted. Can you tell the panel, like, if you look at the numbers, and I'm not in the business day to day, but I get updates from you every couple of months.
Yeah.
And I look at the numbers over a couple of years, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. You got national distribution. You're getting sales over 5 million. But I can also hear the ups and downs on the day to day. Can you just talk to us a little bit about sort of that journey and I guess the sort of the growth mindset and the persistence that you need to really execute on the dream of growing these big brands?
Yeah, startups aren't easy, there's no doubt about it. It's a difficult space or difficult time of a business. You can get it wrong. The first 7 years are critical. You've got to juggle a lot of balls. You've got to change tack. And I think someone said to me once, creating a successful business is about staying in business long enough so you can work out what to do. So I think that's true, because how you start, not how you finish. So and that's no different with Boost Lab. We started out during COVID, October of 20. We started to sell online. It was hard to get in front of buyers from a retailer's perspective. So Priceline, Chemist Warehouse, all the pharmacies really didn't want to take your call. They're at home. They didn't want to take on new business. And then getting a consumer to buy something new in times of uncertainty is very difficult. They always go to the tried and tested. No, I've used that before. I'll stay with that. So it was difficult to start with. Added to that was that, we're trying to drive awareness online, Facebook ads, Google, whatever. And all the traditional media kind of got turned off. So no one's seeing shopper panels or billboards or buses, the sides of buses, because they're not going into the city to work. So all that advertising dollar went online, which meant, the cost per acquisition for a customer just skyrocketed, which made things difficult. But we made the decision to keep going and to spend, because we needed to drive awareness and we needed to show that we were a serious play to get into these retail stores. So was the spend efficient? No way. It was not efficient, and that. I've been talking to you about that. But it was a necessary evil to get us into retail, because the opportunity for our product range, we've got a range of targeted serums. No one else has got a range like this. The opportunity was now to get into these retail stores. So we grabbed that opportunity and demonstrated that we're prepared to spend to support the brand. And now we're in, close to 2,000 stores in the first 2 years, which, of all the brands I've been in previously, it's a good start. So we've got a great platform to grow. Our challenge right now is on making the brand famous. So getting efficient with our marketing and making the brand famous so that, it sells through in-store. Our online business is growing rapidly now. The first year it was a challenge. We're spending more than we're getting in sales, and it's like, when is this going to end? And changing creatives and changing digital agencies, it was a real challenge. But here we are.
And as we were talking about before, obviously you sort of need a group of people, a band, or a team together with different skill sets that work really well together. And it's pretty exciting that you guys are at the moment just finalising an acquisition and merger with TBH Skincare, and it's pretty exciting. It looks like the team at TBH have done a wonderful job in building out an acne skincare product set, which really complements your product set. But then also there's a wonderful team there. Can you talk a bit about that team that will be merging into the business and the skill sets that people like Rachel bring to the business?
So that TBH we started talking to, I guess about 6 months ago. Fantastic brand, fantastic product, which has got some IP, some technology behind it. The category is awesome in that it needs disruption, and they want to take that disruption on. And I was excited about that opportunity, but more than that, it's about the people. And we're strong from a retail perspective. From innovation, we're strong. We've got a good innovation leader. Export-wise, we're doing some great export business now. So we've got all these 2,000 pharmacies. So we've got this channel. TBH was strong digitally. I mean, Rachel, the founder, is an outstanding digital marketer. So we've been working closely with them over the last couple of months. And it's already showing dividends on our brand. And conversely, with their brand, getting them into retail. So it's really a match made in heaven, I think, and we're excited about it. So we've got a complete management team now, I guess. So there was holes in our management team as we grew, but it's now complete. So there's no excuses for us. We've got it in front of us, and it's there.
Well, as an investor, I'm very excited to see the band together.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And it's really good, and to see the opportunity, and you've tripled sales this year, but there's huge potential to grow both domestically as well as internationally. Can you talk to us a bit about your international foray? I know that you've launched into Asia and China, and I know that you're looking at some North American markets. But yeah, can you sort of elaborate a little bit on the international business?
Sure. So when we first started the business, I had some experience in selling into China in my previous skincare businesses. And, it's a big prize, obviously very difficult to do, but I had the contacts and the distributors. So we started going into China pretty early days. And in a way, the brand was kind of designed around that demographic as well. So we considered the Chinese consumer in the design. But it kind of turned to, let's say custard. COVID hit, and then the whole political landscape changed with the Australian government and the Chinese government loggerheads. So we invested quite a bit that if I had my time over, I wouldn't have. It's not lost, but it's kind of parked. So we quickly sort of put the brakes on that, stopped the spend, changed our distribution model, so it's a buy and sell. We're ready to put the accelerator on that again now. The feedback we're getting from our partners is that they're now ready to start buying again. I mean, it's just simple things in China. When COVID hit, some cities, they couldn't even get deliveries from FedEx or DHL or whatever their local courier was. So people was buying product and it wasn't getting delivered. They couldn't get it to their apartment block. So it was really, really difficult times. So China was an interesting experience. It's probably a 2024 thing for us. It's a slowly approach. However, Southeast Asia is quite strong, and we're bullish about Southeast Asia. So we're in Malaysia now. We're in 200 Guardian pharmacy stores, plus some online presence in Shopee. It's called Shopee. I think it's a Lazada group. Malaysia and Singapore. We've got halal certification, which helps in those countries. Indonesia, we're on a wait. The price point is difficult, even though we're an affordable serum here in Australia. Their expectations for skincare are much lower, so that's a wait. But we're really bullish about Vietnam. So we've got a good distributor in Vietnam. We've just started online. We'll roll out to their pharmacies soon. What's good about Vietnam is that they've moved from a low-income nation to a middle-income nation, and the female population are now financially independent. So the market is estimated to grow from US $1 billion to $2 billion in the next 7 years. So I think we can play a part in that. So we're excited about Vietnam, and then in the North America, we're a weight on the US. We tipped like Fred and Frank did. We're testing US market through Amazon and the like, but I've pulled back on that. You need to drive awareness at the same time, is what I've learned. So we're not spending anything on Amazon in the US, but we are going to take on Canada, and we've got an opportunity there for a large retailer and a good distributor. But all the distribution models we've got moving forward are going to be on a buy and sell. So we know what margin we're going to take, which is going to be less than what you'd do if you did it yourself, but no further marketing costs. So you lose a little control, but you've got more certainty. And I think, the economic climate we're in now, I think that's the right way to do it. UK and EU is the same as Canada. If we can do it in a measured way and we can cope with the volume, then we'll have a look at it. But first up, it's about building that base in Australia. So that's our priority. TBH, we've got to get into retail stores around Australia. Boost Lab, it's about driving awareness. We've got big pipeline of new products, which is important in this category, as have TBH. But yeah, biggest priority for us is Australian market, and then we take on select international markets.
And as you mentioned, a lot of the products that you have, they've got a science base, and are getting really good traction in the market, I guess, for that. And Boost Lab's won quite a few awards already. TBH, has some products that Rachel's pretty excited about in terms of, I saw some of the marketing and the stuff she's done on social, where she sort of puts the creams on one side of her face and not on the other side, and there's a huge difference. But do you need to sort of tweak the portfolio for the different markets?
Yeah, you do. I mean, even just in Canada, we have to have bilingual packaging, right? So you've got a new run of production run where you tack it on the end of it. So we're working with our distributor now on that bilingual packaging. We've tried as best we can to create serums, I guess, that don't upset anyone. So they're all been dermatologically tested for sensitive skin, which means for 99.9% of the population, they're good, which the same is true for the Asian markets. And then in terms of smell, if anything comes out when we're developing this product that is polarizing, it's immediately ditched. We just don't bring it to market. So it has to be pleasant. Or if it's not pleasant, it's like, yeah, that's fine. But it's hard to get that balance right. And the other thing, I guess, is the consistency of it. So it can't be sticky. It has to absorb well. You can't have pilling with your makeup if you put it on afterwards. So all those little things we spend a lot of time working on to make sure that when we do release something, it's good for the majority of people. Yeah.
And so there's so much opportunity there around the world for you, and the business is only 2 years old. And we're talking about, just getting through the 7 years, and we're just talking to Finder about how their journey over 17 years. Where do you want to see this business over the next 5-10 years?
So, again, I think it starts with Australia and New Zealand, which I consider one market. So we've got to be famous here. That's our primary objective. I think with the range, with the range we've got, it's being really well received in international markets. So I know we can use this, we can sell this range internationally. It's a matter of supporting it, I guess, in the right way. So build Australia, and then, I think we can dominate in the countries we want to enter with the range we've got and the people we've got to support it now, both from digital, from innovation, the retail and export stuff we have. It's, we've got a strong team. So I can see us dominating in, several countries in this category. And it's not about, dominating the total skincare category. It's about dominating, or not dominating, but, making a difference to the people who you're targeting, which then means you can dominate that category. So for us, it's the 40 to 50-year-old female that's time poor, but wants results and wants to look after themselves.
And TBH, obviously, a much younger demographic.
So TBH is different. So they're younger. So we're 40 to 50. They're kind of, 25 thereabouts. And that's for people who've got, skin problems with acne. Not the cystic type where you need to go to a dermatologist and get some, some prescriptions and the like. But anything before that, they've got some tech that breaks through the biofilm and kills the bacteria, which no one else has got. So it's really good tech. Again, it's just about a matter of, amping up the awareness and getting it in people's hands. Their online sales are stellar. They've done a fantastic job on online sales. We're now in a retail environment with Priceline. Sales are going incredibly well. So we're really, really optimistic with that brand.
Okay.